More than 1 in 3, that's about 250 million girls, entered into union before age 15. Now, girls who marry are not only denied their childhood, they are often socially isolated with limited opportunities for education and employment. The Regional Parliamentary Dialogue on Child Marriage Laws by the SADC Parliamentary Forum and the Association of European Parliamentarians with Africa is underway in Johannesburg right now. Now, joining us in studio are Dr. Jessie, an MP of the Malawi Parliament, and Professor Nkanda Luof, an MP from Zambia. Good afternoon, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Prof. Luo, let's start with you. These stats are indeed staggering. Speak to us of the impact on child marriages, not only on the girl child, but on the family and the wider community at large.
Well, the way one should look at child marriage, you should look at it like an octopus. It actually has health implications. It has developmental implications and economic implications. When a child gets married early, usually they stay out of school, and therefore their entire development agenda is affected. Whatever talent they would have had, they'll never discover it. And because they get pregnant early, they are likely to end up in hospital with vagina fistulas. Because of early sex debut, they are likely to be infected with HIV or even a papillomavirus that causes cervical cancer. So really it is, and it's also a child labor issue. So really it is something that we need to tackle head on and very urgently, because we are denying our countries of economic and development opportunities.
Dr. Kabwela, the Southern African region has one of the highest numbers of child marriages. The stats here are more than 50% of girls in Mozambique and 40% in Zambia marry before the age of 18. What are the driving forces in our region?
The driving forces are a concoction. There is no one driving force. I would say the economics, the high rates of poverty do not help. I think the absence of laws, which is what we came here to work at through the SADC and AWEPA, is really not helping. We need laws so that the infrastructure that stops things from happening can kick in. I also feel the patriarchy that is abundant in all these countries you are mentioning really does not help. That is the fact that culturally, through institutions such as religion and other cultural institutions, even the education, the curriculum that is abundant in this region, really teaches women and girls to be subservient and not to be empowered and not to be able to say no to things that they feel are not going to help them. This, I think, one thing you see that is in common in all these regions is the economic hardship. Most of these countries, many people are living below the breadline, and also the patriarchy that is there, and definitely the need for education empowerment. I think a lot that we need here is when you have got high illiteracy rates, problems like these will always be there, because I think the issue of low retention rates and low transition rates in education is neatly linked to people getting married.
And Doctor, you've actually preempted my next question. Education, Professor, is one of the most powerful tools we can use to delay the age at which a girl marries. Speak to us of this crucial need to merge a more cohesive approach between the health and education sectors to tackle this problem in particular.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, when you actually look at some of the problems that affect our girl children in child marriage, it will obviously be a lack of access to education and health opportunities. And you know for a fact that one of the issues that underpin development is enjoying good health and also access to education. So what we are proposing in terms of moving forward are programs that ensure that the girls don't get married early, so that they're not exposed to sex and all the sexually transmitted infections that are associated with early exposure to sex, unwanted pregnancies, unsafe abortions. All these are some of the issues that we need to tackle, and therefore to ensure that we focus on education and health is important. But let me also hasten to say that it will not just be dealing with health and education that will help us. We need to also deal with issues that expose them to gender-based violence, because there are also certain negative impact that gender-based violence has on these communities where there is early marriages going on. So it's a whole battery of issues that we need to bring together.
Doctor, ministers in the region have previously committed themselves to reviewing what we call age consent laws, and also tell us why such a commitment is so significant in the fight against child marriages. Malawi, your country, is a case in point where a discrepancy, we can say, exists between the minimum age of marriage and the age of consent in Malawi. For example, the penal code there prohibits sex with a child below the age of 16, while under the constitution, a child aged 15, though is allowed to marry.
Yes, it's very important that ministers have committed to this, because political will is very, very crucial when we talk about what happens in a nation state. If we talk about Malawi, I'm glad to say, as I'm sitting, Parliament opened 2 days ago, and we have a bill that is coming up, Marriage and Divorce Family Relations Bill, that is going to take on the issue of resolving this issue that is a major embarrassment to the country. The fact that people can actually, girls can be married at 16. This is an issue that Malawi is not proud of, and I want to emphasize here, it is an issue that unites the opposition and the ruling, even the independents. They want to say no to girls being married at this age, because we understand the dangers that are attendant to women are getting married. I think we've seen the SADC PF come out very strongly. I happen to be the chair of the Women Caucus in Malawi, and I'm from the opposition, but I want to tell you the truth that my own president, who is from DPP, my own president from my own party, they are both saying the same word, that this bill must go through. Early marriage must come to an end. Chiefs have joined in this. If you come to listen to the region, it is very, very important for the ministers to say what they've said, because that shows that the fact of women, the gender question, the issue of the health of women and the girl child is becoming a politically, something that people are looking at as a political capital. It's saying that we are saying no to girls being left vulnerable and leaving school, and we all understand that they need to be in school for them to have healthier lives and to enjoy the citizenship that everybody else enjoys.
Of course. Prof, ministers at the 2013 meeting, of course, set a target of eliminating child marriage by 2020. Now, how crucial is comprehensive, quality access to sexuality education and youth-friendly sexual and reproductive health services for youth needed?
In fact,
how crucial is this?
Actually, it's very crucial, and I happen to have been one of the ministers that was at that meeting to sign up to this commitment. And I want to say that early sex exposure and lack of education has actually created a lot of problems. And if you speak to communities about why some children do get married early, as soon as their daughter gets pregnant, the first thing they do is to say, take her back to that family, and she gets married. So it has been a problem. And therefore, we feel that, one, our girl children and even boys now need to have access to comprehensive sexual education. And we need to ensure their sexual reproductive health rights, so that once they have the information, they are empowered, they can say no to early sex. And that is going to address at least one arm of the problem that is at hand. But as I keep emphasizing, it's not only one thing that we need to do. We need to take everything on. We need to define who a child is. We need to define the age for marriage, even sex exposure. We need to package information that the children can have access to and use this information to make informed decisions.
Doctor, it's been shown that an educated girl will use more than 90% of her earnings for the upliftment of her family and community, compared to 35% for a male child. And yet 250 million of our adolescent girls live in poverty and are unlikely to be educated. And this really cuts to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? What are some of the strategies that have come out of the conference? I mean, you wrapped up today.
Yeah, the conference that we've wrapped out today has brought out very convincing decisions, I would say, in strategies as you've put them. To start with, I think the whole issue of male involvement in this issue was emphasized. That this is not a battle we can win by excluding men. So even the MPs who are men in parliament shall be engaged. But as SADC PF, what the first step that is going to be taken is definitely calling taking a research based. So there are going to be experts invited to make sure that they actually document what we are saying, the dangers of child marriage, and what should the model law that we are trying to work towards look like from an evidence-based perspective. From there, we are going to also have those experts get together and draft that model law. Then the model law will have to be presented at the SADC plenary, because that is the main governing council, governing body. And then from there, we hope that it now is ready for dissemination, and then at least being critiqued and being seen how it can help other people. Remember that as we are sitting, Malawi, and I think in Zimbabwe, and if I'm not wrong, I think Zambia is also, they're all working into putting the marriage law on the table. So this model law comes at a very opportune time, because one, we can also work with those who are trying to get it onto the table. For example, Malawi, it's already on the table. In 3 weeks' time, we shall be voting on it. So those are the strategies that have been adopted. Let me just emphasize that the strategies are integrated. We are hoping to we're hoping to have all stakeholders there, including the girl child herself, and make sure that throughout the way we are looking at what law can we bring about that can hold governments accountable to the girl child.
Thank you for your time on the PM News Desk. It has been a pleasure indeed chatting with you. We are out of time, so I'm going to have to leave it there. Moving on to other